Never in my life have I been so excited about growing pains. The Kings get blown out in Houston, and I'm actually excited about it. I'll tell you why right here on Locked On Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily Sacramento Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for another episode of Locked On Kings.
Hello and welcome into Locked On Kings, your podcast hub for Sacramento Kings coverage all season long. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off of your first purchase. My name is Matt George. I have the privilege of being your host here. I'm a Sacramento sports anchor and reporter for ABC 10 News. And one of the comments that I get most often when I meet people is, Matt, I didn't realize you're so tall. I'm 6'3". If we want to be generous, you can round me up to 6'4" if you want to. But when I went into high school, my last year of 8th grade, I was 5'4". Over that summer, I went from 5'4" to 5'8" at the start of my freshman year of high school. By the end of my sophomore year, I was 6'1", 6'2"-ish. I spent that 2-year period roughly basically sleeping in bathtubs filled with hot water because my legs hurt so bad from the growing pains on a nightly basis. Those of you who have experienced them, you know what I'm talking about. Those growing pains that are just miserable at times, but you got to go through them ultimately to grow up. I've never liked them. I hated them, although it did make me a big fan of taking a relaxing hot bath or spending some time in a hot tub or jacuzzi. I'm all about that. I've never liked them, and yet tonight I could not be more excited to see them for the Sacramento Kings. The Kings lost to the Houston Rockets 121-95. But ladies and gentlemen, if we are being completely honest with ourselves, these are the exact type of losses that we have been calling for. What we've been asking to happen for really the last handful of weeks, some of you since the start of this season, happened tonight. DeMar DeRozan played 23 minutes. Zach LaVine played 19 minutes. And understand, they didn't play only 23 and 19 minutes because the Sacramento Kings were being blown out, so Doug Christie just decided to shut them down. No. When Zach LaVine played his last minutes, he exited the game early in that second half, early in the third quarter. The game was tied. And he never came back in for the remainder of the game. The Sacramento Kings were incredibly competitive in that first half. It was one of the best halves of basketball they've played top to bottom. It was entertaining. It was exciting. It was a really fun half of basketball to watch. And it wasn't just because the veterans played a lot and had a good game. The Kings were very competitive, while the young guys got playing time. Maxime Reynaud played 32 minutes in this game. Keegan Murray played 37 minutes in this game. I know it's weird to refer to Keegan Murray as a young guy when he's not. He's in his prime age-wise, but he's part of the next generation, or he's one of the guys on this roster that we can actually see having a future with the Sacramento Kings. So let's put it that way. Nick Clifford played 22 minutes. Keon Ellis played 20 minutes. We got the playing time for the young guys and the reduced playing time for the veterans that I've been clamoring for here on Locked On Kings over the last couple weeks. We finally got to see it. First half was competitive. The young guys were involved in the competitiveness, playing well as the team played well, going toe-to-toe with a very, very, very good Houston Rockets team. And in the second half, what did we see? We saw one of the best teams in the West turn it up and kick the you-know-what out of one of the worst teams in the West. We saw what was kind of supposed to happen when looking at the way these two teams are trending. But here's the difference. This happened. This loss, this blowout loss happened, but it was productive because the Kings didn't get blown out and destroyed with their veterans playing 35 minutes. They got blown out while giving the young guys important court time for them to struggle, fail, but also succeed, show promise, and have breakthroughs. It is so much easier right now to watch, sit through, and settle with this loss tonight than almost all of the other blowout losses that the Kings have experienced through these first 22 games, where the veterans did play a lot and half the time didn't look interested in playing whatsoever, even though they were on the floor. Maxime Reynaud continues to just play so well. Tonight, 25 points, 10 of 15 from the field, 2 of 2 from three-point range, 6 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block. And no, he didn't just do it all during garbage time. Max had 19 points the other night. It was in Utah, and a lot of those points came in the final minute or two of the game when the game was effectively over. No, Max was scoring and playing well consistently from start to finish. Drew Eubanks played, I think, like 10 minutes in this game. Maxime Reynaud was essentially the starting center for the Sacramento Kings, and he played against Alperen Sengun, played against Steven Adams, had some opportunity against Kevin Durant. He played against the top guys in Houston, and he played well. Yes, the team lost. They should lose when their second-round pick is playing 32 minutes. They're supposed to against one of the best teams in the NBA. But Max played well. His last 3 games, these are his averages. Over the last 3 games, 17.6 points. He's shooting 60% from the field, 60%, 3 of 5 from three-point range, averaging 5.3 rebounds, 1 block in 25.6, so 25 and a half minutes per game. Those are the last 3 games for Maxime Reynaud. The young gun is playing, and he's improving. Imagine that. What a surprise. You play the guys, you give them opportunity, and they can improve. Crazy, isn't it? Who'd have thought? And the growth of Maxime Reynaud, not physically, because he's always been ginormous at 7'1", but the improvement of Maxime Reynaud over the last month and some change of the season has been astronomical. It's been incredible to watch. Max had some great moments during Summer League. He also had some moments where he looked like he was struggling and uncomfortable with the physicality of the game. And that was against other guys that were either rookies, recent draft picks, or fighting to even get invited to training camp. A lot of them G Leaguers or playing internationally right now. And he struggled at times with them. Max got playing time early on in the NBA season, and he ended up getting benched essentially for Dylan Cardwell because Max did not look NBA ready. Here we are over a month later. It's December, 3rd? And Maxime Reynaud looks like an NBA player. He looks incredibly confident. He looks comfortable. There are absolutely still things he needs to work on, needs to get stronger, needs to get better rebounding wise. I'll talk about that in a second. It's not like he's suddenly the perfect NBA player, start him and play him 35 minutes a night. He's ready to go. He's going to be great. Bye-bye Domantas Sabonis. The Kings' new starting center is Maxime Reynaud. We're not talking about anything like that. We don't have to go to extremes. But where Max was to where he is at now is incredible. Obviously, Max is a Stanford kid, so you know he's smart. James Ham describes him in a very interesting way, and I think it's spot on. He's a really, really smart, academic, Stanford genius kid who just so happens to be really, really good at basketball, right? Like, Max is brilliant and really good at basketball. And you can see The IQ, you can see how smart he is with not just how he communicates, but how he has approached the game and how he has developed and improved over the last month and some change. It's been really fun to watch. What I love that we saw from Max in this game, it's not the great numbers, although those are certainly helpful. It's the fearlessness. Neat Clifford could take some notes from Maxime Reynaud. Max does not look afraid. He's going at Steven Adams. He's going at Kevin Durant. He's trying some things. He's failing at times. He's getting pushed around at times, but he's not afraid to shoot. Shot the ball 15 times. And again, it wasn't all of those in garbage time. A lot of those field goal attempts. He led the Kings in scoring at the end of the first quarter with, I think, 12 points. Max was in attack mode. Who cares if you fail? Who cares if you embarrass yourself? He had his shot blocked by I can't remember who it was. Might have been Tari Eason. Somebody. Might have been Amin Thompson. I don't know. Just rejected him when he tried to score in the post at the rim. Who cares? Now is the time to try. Now is the time to experiment. Go for it. And he is. He's playing fearless. It's been so fun to watch. And he's finally starting to shoot threes. He was 2 of 2 from three-point range in the first quarter. Now, he didn't shoot another 3 for the rest of the game. That's a bummer. He's taken 5 threes over the last 3 games. That's improvement. Still would like to see that number get higher, and hopefully as he plays more as the season goes on, that number will get higher. But that's the skill that he showcased at Stanford. Stanford relied on that three-point shooting, on his scoring. That's one of the skills that got him drafted into the NBA in the first place. So show off that skill more. And we're starting to see it more, and it's a great thing. Maxime Reynaud absolutely shined in getting the bulk of playing time tonight. But other guys who got a lot of playing time struggled. That's worth acknowledging, because while it's okay for them to struggle right now, the reality is if you're finally going to get the playing time, you actually have to take advantage of it. We'll talk about the guys who struggled, plus Devin Carter is in the dungeon in Sacramento. I don't know if he's ever going to get back into a game, period, at this point. Plus, I want to talk about Precious Achiuwa and DeMar DeRozan. That's all coming up later on Locked On Kings. This episode of the Locked On Kings podcast is brought to you by Robinhood. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house, it's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action, so when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You no longer are just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the United States. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. It's one thing to celebrate the guys that we do believe are part of the Kings' future finally getting minutes. It's another thing for those guys to actually make use of those minutes. Right now, for a lot of these guys, I'm in a stage of just get them out there on the floor and see what happens. Don't judge them too harshly based off of what happens. Of course, the expectations are higher for certain guys who have been in the NBA versus the rookies like Neat Clifford and Maxime Reynaud. But at some point, we will get to, depending upon, and hopefully we see this more for the remaining 60 games or whatever this season, at some point, we will get to, okay, you got to do more than just be out there on the floor. I got to see something. You got to show me a little something. And I would love to get to that soon. But for guys like Keegan Murray, who, if we're being honest, did not play well tonight. Keegan Murray played 37 minutes, 5 points, 2 of 11 from the field, 11 rebounds, 3 turnovers, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Glad Keegan is playing 37 minutes. He's one of the starters that needs to continue to play in the mid to upper 30s in minutes on a nightly basis. Glad to see that. But Keegan just signed a $25 million per year contract that starts next year. Keegan has been a part of the Sacramento Kings for the last few years. So he's the one that with the additional playing time, you expect him to show you a little bit more. What I like is that Keegan continued to attack the glass. The Kings got killed on the glass in this game. No surprise against the Houston Rockets. The Kings are getting killed on the glass really against every single team. But when the Rockets have guys like Steven Adams, the Kings are going to struggle. But Keegan still got his rebounds. Did turn the ball over 3 times, but I like that when he's turning the ball over, he's trying some things. So again, I can find positives in these, but the reality is Keegan Murray going 2 of 11 from the field and only scoring 5 points, like that's not good enough. And he knows that's not good enough. Now, if Keegan had gone 7 of 11 from the field and finished with 12, 13, 15 points, whatever, would it have drastically changed this game? Well, the score would have been a little bit closer. The Kings would have still lost. But unlike right now with Max and Neek, where I just want to see them shoot, like just try things. I still want to see Keegan experiment and try some things and be aggressive too. And he's done a really, really good job of that since coming back from his injury. But as we get deeper into this, whether you want to call it taking, a focus on the future, weaning the starters' minutes out, or whatever you want to call it, we got to start turning more of a critical eye on Keegan. Hey, those 3 or 4 games when you came back and you were scoring a lot, was that just a flash in the pan? Or is that you truly proving that this is the type of player you can be as a top option with starting minute playing time? Like 5 points, 2 of 11, it's not good enough. It's one game, and you need to see him improve on that. But like that's a fair way, in my opinion, to be critical of Keegan. He still had a steal, still had 2 blocks, did his thing on the defensive end, had his opportunity. I don't know. I mean, you could call it an opportunity. You could call it he was forced to try and defend Kevin Durant, which there's only so much you can do against Kevin freaking Durant. Like the shots he shoots and makes from the mid-range are virtually unguardable. Like Keegan still did his thing in other areas, but if you're going to be a top guy, buddy, we need you to score. So hopefully these 5-point, 2 of 11 shooting nights are less frequent than those 18-plus point nights where he's knocking down over 50% or around 50% of his 17 shot attempts a game. That's the Keegan that we need to see consistently as he and the rest of these young guys get playing time. Neek Clifford played 22 minutes, 2 points, 1 of 7 from the field. I like the 7 field goal attempts. The one he did score, he attacked the rack aggressively and finished at the rim. It happened like late in the second half. 0 of 3 from 3-point range. I'm glad he's shooting threes. You got to see those start to drop. 1 steal, 1 block. Neek Clifford has been playing good defense. The defensive metrics have been really good. The advanced defensive numbers have been really good for Neek and some of the other young guys in those lineups. Moves his feet really well on the defensive side. He showed that off a little bit. I would like to see Neek be as fearless scoring the basketball and looking to score and looking for his as Maxime Reynaud looked tonight. That's really like, I have no idea what to expect from these rookies other than 1, hopefully noticeable improvement, and 2, a fearless desire to take advantage of the opportunity that you have, try things, fail, but also succeed. I think Neek has struggled maybe over the last handful of weeks at trying to fit in more than impose himself on the game. And as he hopefully gets more playing time, we'll see more of who Neek Clifford is as the NBA player and who he can be as. Like, his ceiling in the NBA is likely a very solid rotation player for hopefully a very, very good basketball team. But you can show more than that when you get more opportunity to be that with the playing time your rookie year. There are going to be the growing pains. Work your way through it. I'd like to see Neek be more aggressive and start to knock down that outside shot more. Keon Ellis, he's another one that we should be critical of because he's been in the league long enough. Keon Ellis played 20 minutes, 0 points, 0 of 4 from the field, all of his misses from 3-point range. Like, you can't do that, Keon. Defensively, had some good moments, but also has zeros across the board. 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks. Did have like 2 fouls. Like, Keon got 20 minutes. I'm glad he got 20 minutes. Keon already does a lot of things that don't necessarily show up in the box score, so it's not like he was completely useless like the box score might suggest he was. But if we're going to make a stink about Keon not getting enough playing time and Keon deserves more playing time when he does play, he has the expectations closer to Keegan. Not that he's as good as Keegan necessarily, but he's been in the league long enough to where we expect him to have more of an impact in his playing time like Keegan than, hey, well, let's just see what they give us like we feel about the rookies. Like, Keon, one of your biggest strengths is your ability to space the floor and knock down threes. I understand you can have a bad shooting night. I understand it's hard at times to play consistently when your playing time is inconsistent. And hopefully Doug Christie starts getting it consistent for these guys as the season goes on. But if you're going to play, man, you got to knock down shots. Can't be giving me a goose egg in multiple categories, especially can't be giving me a scoring goose egg and going 0 for 4 from three-point range. Devin Carter. Devin Carter's donezo, man. Another blowout where he doesn't even get in the game. And I'm not surprised by it. It doesn't really bother me necessarily. The last time Devin Carter played was November 12th in that blowout loss at home to the Atlanta Hawks. It's the last time he played. He hasn't played since. Is Devin Carter a bust? I don't think that's fair, because the term bust has primarily negative connotations on the player. I think Devin Carter is a bust for the Sacramento Kings, and we've talked about this long since this season started, or long before this season started. Devin Carter was not the right pick for the Kings. He was never the right pick for the Kings. He never made sense. He was one of the biggest failures of Monte McNair. I still have no idea what the hell Monte McNair was thinking, what he was doing, why in the world he would make that pick. It's never been a good idea for Sacramento, and it's turned out to be a complete failure for Sacramento. Does that mean that Devin Carter is not an NBA player and didn't deserve to be a lottery player? I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe Devin goes on somewhere else and becomes good. Look what Davion Mitchell is doing with the Miami Heat. He's been incredible for the Heat, and the Heat are good. Now, Davion actually had an NBA role here in Sacramento and played important minutes at times for the Kings, including during their playoff run. So we had a little higher of expectations, and it makes a little more sense for Davion Mitchell to turn into something great in Miami than Devin Carter would going anywhere else. There is the possibility of Devin going somewhere, getting playing time, and being good. But I think that is going to be much easier for the Sacramento Kings fan base to deal with if it does happen than a lot of the other examples we've dealt with over the last 20 or so years. Why? Because the pick has never made sense, and the guys who made that selection in the first place, they are long gone. It does suck to some extent for the Sacramento Kings to have another blemish on their record of here's a lottery pick that the Kings really gave up on before they even had a chance to make him a part of their future. But the general manager who's here right now, Scott Perry, even Doug Christie to some extent, they can look at Devin and go, hey man, we picked up your option because we're going to look to move you. But you're not a part of this team. You're not a part of this future. I think it's blatantly clear that's where we're at with Devin Carter. Like I said at the top of the show, this episode of Locked On Kings is brought to you by Game Time. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994. And with the 48 teams for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. But let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why the Game Time app is clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment that they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. A lot of these matches are going to be played all over the country in massive football stadiums, places that you've probably never been to before. And if you're making an effort to follow the World Cup, watch some of your favorite international teams and international players, but go to places you've never been to before, the seat feature or the seat view feature that Game Time has is going to be so important for you. It is the most accurate view that you are going to get from your seat, period. You will know exactly what the view is going to look like before you ever come close to hitting checkout and fully purchasing that ticket. Plus, the price you see is the price you pay. When you select your seats, and let's say it says $150 per seat, you're paying $150 per seat. It's not $150 per seat plus $22 extra of fees and taxes and everything added on at the end. These are just some of the many reasons why you should use Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets and every match, concert, or sporting event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go, Game Time. Really quickly, before we wrap up, I want to talk about a pair of other Sacramento Kings players. Precious Achiuwa. Precious Achiuwa has quickly gained favor amongst Sacramento Kings fans, not because he's playing phenomenally, not because he's become a game changer for the Sacramento Kings, but it's how he's played. Precious Achiuwa is the type of player and is playing with the type of effort that Sacramento Kings fans resonate with, right? Just a handful of weeks ago, Precious was out of the league. He was sitting at home watching NBA games on his couch or working out individually in whatever gym he could find. Like Precious, he didn't know what his NBA future was. And the Sacramento Kings go out and get him out of necessity because they lack size, they lack depth at the center position. They're dealing with all the injuries to Domantas Sabonis. And Precious comes in, and what we've seen over the last handful of weeks is Precious plays the exact same way. He plays with energy, he plays with hustle, he attacks. Like Precious Achiuwa has been really solid. Like I know exactly what I'm getting from Precious Achiuwa when he plays. That doesn't necessarily mean specific numbers, and it doesn't mean everything's going great. Like Precious played a lot in this game, and if we're talking about plus minuses, he was one of the worst minuses on the team. He struggled certainly at times in this game, but he plays hard. He makes things happen. He plays with an attitude. He plays with a gratitude that I wish more people in this locker room played with. He plays like he knows he was out of the league a couple of weeks ago, and he does not take the time for granted, and he's going to play and take advantage of every opportunity he has to not just enjoy and appreciate the time that he has now, but ensure that he has more time and more opportunity in the future so that when this contract with Sacramento runs out, he's getting another contract either here or elsewhere and not back on his couch watching. I really appreciate how Precious Achiuwa plays. He's been a fun addition to the Sacramento Kings. I want to talk about DeMar DeRozan too, because I've been very critical of both DeMar and Zach LaVine over the course of this season. Rightfully so in a lot of ways, but DeMar has gotten a lot of the frustration from me and from Sacramento Kings fans about like it's time to move on. It hasn't worked. It was a failed experiment here in Sacramento, blah, 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 blah. Over the last handful of games, as we've seen Doug start to slowly give the young guys more playing time and get some of those more young bench units out there, we've seen DeMar out there with them a lot of times. And I actually like it. It gives DeMar more opportunity to kind of be that ISO mid-range scorer that we know he is without bringing the Kings offense to a screeching halt. And he brings a steadiness, a veteran presence along with Malik Monk and sometimes Russell Westbrook to those lineups featuring those younger guys. And DeMar is someone who I absolutely believe Nick Clifford and Maxime Reynaud can learn a ton from if they haven't already. Like I believe that DeMar should be and should have been one of the guys to take Nick directly under his wing, specifically once Nick was drafted and signed here in Sacramento. I've liked what I've seen from DeMar with this second unit. That doesn't mean I want to see him playing 35 minutes a night with this second unit necessarily. I still need his minutes to be capped at like 32. But what he did in tonight's game, playing 23 minutes, if maybe the game was closer, maybe he's up at 27, 28, 29 minutes. But a chunk of those minutes are with Neek and Max and Keegan. Like I'm all for that. So I wanted to make sure I gave DeMar a little bit of love and appreciation too, because as frustrating as it's been for the veterans to be as bad as they've been and the Sacramento Kings to be this god-awful this early in the season, there is value to the veteran leadership and mentorship of DeMar DeRozan, and it just seems like he looks more comfortable and he looks better on the floor with that group than he has all season long with that primary veteran starting lineup. Want to hear your thoughts on this game? Maybe I'm crazy. It was another blowout loss, and like I was listening to Kyle Draper and Deuce and Mo on the postgame show on TV, and like Draper was unhappy about it, and rightfully so. The Kings lost 121-95. But I don't know, like this is such an easier loss for me to stomach. I just feel so much better about this loss because these are the growing pains that we've been asking for. Hopefully I articulated that good enough here in the podcast today, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Reach out to me at MattGeorgeSack on Twitter, email me mattgeorgesports@gmail.com, or leave your thoughts in the YouTube comment section down below. Appreciate your support as always. Can't wait to have you join me on the next episode of Locked On Kings. Until then, my name is Matt George. You've been listening to the Locked On Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.